Point behind the meeting today was to train the partners in the STEEP project in the systems modelling approach that we've chosen for the project. So this was to cover the methodology, which was loosely based on a problem structuring approach and subsystems methodology, and also in the specific systems modelling tool that we're using, which is called Perimeter. And the point behind today was to go through the rationale behind the methodological choice and the choice of the specific systems modelling tool, and then to get people into actually using the modelling tool. So through a series of exercises, we basically introduced the systems modelling approach, how to actually start using the hierarchical process modelling, how to start building models, how to introduce evidence into the performance of the processes in the models, and to start to get a handle on deciding interventions in the problem situation that we're dealing with in STEEP. Within the general context of tackling wicked and messy problems using problem structuring methods, there are a range of systemic modelling techniques that can be used. These range from, say, cognitive mapping to causal loop diagrams to rich pictures. But for the purposes of the STEEP project and understanding the risk and uncertainties associated with energy planning, and energy planning for development zones like the Temple Quarter Enterprise Zone in Bristol, but also the equivalent zones in Donostia and also Florence. We felt that hierarchical process modelling, which provides an explicit representation of processes and their hierarchical relationship, would provide the most suitable systemic modelling approach in order to tackle the problem. One of the things that we can really do with hierarchical process modelling that we can't do with any of the other systems approaches is to look at the performance of the processes and their sub-processes, to ask questions about how well they're actually doing, both in terms of the assessment of the performance of the process, but also our own assessment of our knowledge about the process. And where we have imperfect knowledge about processes, or we have evidence that processes are not performing particularly well, then it's possible to use that information in the hierarchical process model in order to focus our attention for intervention. We can't do that using other systems modelling approaches. Today's workshop was designed to introduce hierarchical process modelling and problem structuring methods in general to the cities that we're working with, so to Bristol City Council and to members of the councils of Florence and Donostia. So whilst we weren't trying to actually solve problems today and come up with fully formed process models, we were trying to get across the problem structuring method and also how to use hierarchical process modelling and how the software works. So essentially today was about training and setting up the situation so that it would be possible for the University of Bristol to support these three cities when they hold equivalent group model building workshops with their own stakeholder groups. So today was basically about training and about introducing method and showing how it was possible to conduct a group model building workshop with a group of stakeholders. So today was a little bit like doing a group model building workshop in Proxy to illustrate how it works. And now it's a case for us to go and support Bristol, Donostia and Florence in actually conducting group model building workshops with their own local stakeholder groups. The STEEP project was conceived almost 2 years ago as a systems approach to energy efficient planning in a city setting. So the 3 cities that are involved in the project each have their own specific and unique problem situations that they're trying to encourage energy efficient buildings in the redevelopments in the specific zones that they're deciding to redevelop. So today was equipping the cities, the members of the planning teams in Donostia, in Florence and in Bristol to use a systemic problem structuring approach to start to address how you achieve efficient energy planning for the development zones that they're looking at. The modelling that we did today was focused on illustrating a training example. So we identified a transformational process that was appropriate for the problem situation in Bristol, in Donostia and Florence. And the modelling that we did basically worked through how it was possible to achieve that transformational process by doing a hierarchical decomposition of the top level process. Now, what we learnt today from this was that we may not have precisely identified the top-level process that's really the one that each city wants to work on. And in fact, in feedback from the participants in the workshop today, there's evidence that they want to try the technique in other problem areas in their cities, not necessarily the energy planning area. This is quite exciting for us because it really demonstrates the fact that the problem structuring method that we've been talking about today, the hierarchical process modelling, isn't specifically targeted towards planning or energy efficient planning. It's a general purpose systems approach and could be used in a wide number of problem situations. And it's quite nice to have the participants in the workshop come back to me and say, hey, we could use this in other problems that we've got in our city.